Hello, good evening. Thank you for coming along. I'm just going to flip my screen over. I hope everyone's okay. Blue Zal, Leon, I'll try and find time at the end to look at. Just going to turn off the echo. It's always a good look. There we go. Yeah, I'll try and look at Blue Zal at the end. Blue Zal's had a pretty good day. We were trading that in our my group today. It had a nice breakout today, didn't it? I think it's got further to go. We'll try and add it on at the end. Okay. Hello, Connor. Thanks. We are feeling a bit better. I think we might have had a little bit of COVID-y. I don't know. Last week we just, it wasn't good. Anyway, nobody wants to know about that. They want to know what Bitcoin is doing. And I have to say, I don't think Bitcoin's doing anything, but I'm really interested in what ETH is trying to do here. I know people pay a lot of attention to trend lines. Hello, Vancouver. Vancouver Island, even nicer. Hello, Nathan. Love Canada. Lived in Canada for 10 years. Have rallies on Vancouver Island. Okay, so this trend line in Ethereum dollar from this high, if I connect it here to this high, so we're exactly, and I'm always a bit of, you should really draw trend lines with a bit of a thick pen because they can be a little bit woolly. And especially the third touch, you should expect a false breakout. Well, I kind of think that this might have been our false breakout here. And we're still really trying to get out higher, aren't we? We're still really trying to break out. In fact, ETH is so much closer to a break to the upside. I think it'd be a really good leading indicator for Bitcoin. When I put my fibs on this most recent swing, instead of both these swings, normally if I thought it was a big ABC, I think it is a big ABC, I would put them on both. And if I do that, that's a little bit of a warning that we might have a bit of trouble at 258. And that's where we might get to before we maybe come back and back test the breakout. But if I put my fibs on from this swing here, from this high, then we don't have to do much to get above this 786 fib level, do we? 245. Where would that 886 come in with that? That's a bit higher. So, I'm watching this. Let's put it this way. It's very close. This is a daily chart with my Heikin-Ashi on. Here's the line. As you know, I connected, drew it as carefully as I could. And so here we are today on the owling. We've been kind of playing around with this. And so what would it look like? Because we've already been above this trend line a couple of times, haven't we? What would it look like? It would look like this if we were going to get above and stay above. See how here we got above, we back tested it, but we couldn't make a new high and we fell back. That was a fail. But if we get above, pull back, and then make a new high, that's a back test that's working, and then we're on our way up again. Obviously, that 245 level might be a bit of an issue. Sorry about my puppies having a drink. As usual, I think they wait until I go live and then they see how much they can drink. Won't be long. So yeah, I'm pretty much watching ETH, and I think that ETH led last time on the upside, and ETH might be a really good leading indicator. The other thing that I think that might help Bitcoin higher today, because I was really gloomy this morning, I thought we're underneath the 20 moving average. It's looking a little bit, and I might have to take the water away if that dog doesn't stop soon. Okay, where was I? Honestly, I just couldn't hear myself think then. Okay. This 20 moving average today, underneath this 20 moving average, I thought, this was looking really bearish. I thought that there was a good chance. I keep thinking that Bitcoin is going to head lower before higher. I feel like it's, really heavy. Every time we get back to these daily moving averages, we can't do anything. And then the buyers come in. And today, it was starting to look really toppy in these stock indexes. This is the S&P daily chart. This morning we were down here at the lows. I thought we were going to maybe fill this little gap from last week. And instead, the low got bought. Here we are at new highs. We're at new highs above the early June highs as well. If we close up here, this is really bullish. So there's a couple of things that are pulling Bitcoin higher. So you kind of think, when nothing, to be quite honest, I'm one of those when you least think something's going to happen, it tends to be when it happens. So if we think that there's absolutely no chance that Bitcoin can go higher here and everybody's expecting it to go lower, then maybe it will puke up and follow the alts. Kind of though, I feel like the longer we go sideways, the better it would be for alts. But at the moment, there doesn't seem to be too much downside risk whilst we stay above 8,800. So here's our sideways range in Bitcoin. This 236 fib from the low that we made in March, that's our major support, 88.76. We can take a look underneath that on the daily. We can have a little dirty dive down and say hi to the 200 moving average. But a daily or weekly close underneath that level would be a big deal, and it would see a bigger correction, and we would remain in the big wedge. All the time that we stay above 8,800 that level, and we go sideways, mixing up with these Bitcoins, moving averages, sorry, then Bitcoin, you know, has the potential really to explode higher, and it looks like a sideways, you know, consolidation, not a reversal. So, neutral Bitcoin, starting to think we're never going to go down, and instead we're going to go up. And I'm watching ETH. I would love to see a breakout in ETH that would lead us up there. If we don't break out in ETH though, where are we going to go? Well, normally I would be looking for a big ABC. Sometimes a big ABC leads into a bigger ABC or a more complex correction. And in ETH, if we take this most recent swing lower, we stopped at, we've talked about what we want to see for an upside, but if we go carry on lower from here, then this is a 786 fib. When you stop at a 786 fib, you would normally reverse, and your target would be the 38.2. And the confirmation that you've reversed and that you're going there, this is kind of harmonic pattern stuff, is if you break this at 61.8, the previous low. So that's where our support is. So 212. Now, if we did an equal measured move, a kind of funky extended one here, then that equal measured move would put us from this high on that 212 level. So if we don't break out, and if instead we break down here from this kind of 4-day little rally that we've had, if this instead breaks down, let me undo that, then, and let's look at it on an hourly, here it is. If this consolidation breaks down instead of lower, then that's where we would be looking for a target 212. So and then I would be seriously back up the truck, because that's such good support both in Ethereum and in Bitcoin at 212. So 212 for Bitcoin is our bull bear line. Below 212, we're in a much bigger correction in Ethereum, and we're going to look for 164. That's like more than 20, that's 25%. You don't want to give that back. So 212 major support underneath it, 164, and we can say the same rules in Bitcoin. 8,800 is major support. If we reverse here, then we're looking for at least 7,900, but potentially 7,000. So you don't want to give that much back, really. So let's hope. Hope's not much of a good trading strategy, though. I'm definitely like, if all I want to see is I would love to see with this sideways consolidation, a little false move lower, followed by a ripper move higher, and then I would be jumping on. I love false breakouts the wrong way before a real move the right way. So that would make me very happy if we had that in Bitcoin. Okay, so Omar says Link is puking higher. That's good news. I'm quite a fan of Link. So tonight I asked everyone what coins they would like to see. So we've talked about Bitcoin and ETH. Let's talk about ADA, because ADA, after a really spectacular run against Bitcoin, is looking a little bit toppy here. And it potentially in a little bit of a bigger pullback. So let's look at the fib rules. I'm going to take away these projections. Okay, and we're going to, on here, let's go to the weekly if we can. We'll start on the weekly. So, and we'll look at what the fibs tell us about where we can expect to pull back to. So if I just take this most recent swing lower, this obvious one, and I find with fibs, if you use the obvious ones, rather than trying to find levels in the middle, then it works much better. And so from this high to this low, we're reversing at a 61.8 fib, top of the golden ratio zone. So the first support where we should look for this to come back to, if we do reverse here, which it looks like we are, is 1170. That's the 50% level. And if we lose that 1170, we're going to do that golden ratio zone thing where we go from the 61.8 to the 38.2. What we normally do is go 61.8, 38.2, and then you can expect it to come back to that midline. And then it kind of decides which way next. We'll either break higher and then carry on higher, or we will continue lower and the fib down the fib staircase rather than up it. Now, I'm not entirely sure that I've drawn these fibs correctly, and it may be, you know, that the market is looking at something else, like a bigger swing here or so on, but for now I'm going to leave them on and see how they work. But I'm going to take them off for a minute, because there is one way. How do you know that you are going into a correction? Well, let's go back to the daily and we'll take the most recent swing higher, and I think in ADA, I think we can agree that that's from that low. And so if we retrace more than the 236 fib from that low, then that would be, for me, a bit of that would be a reversal. It's there, we're sitting right on the line. 1300, 3 days we've tested it, haven't we, and found support there. If we close below 1300, the next stop is 1185. Yeah. Now we're going to go to a bigger swing. If this in ADA is a big 1, 2, and then we've got 3, then I actually prefer doing it from the lows. Let's go from the lows. 1230 is our second. That's the second support. That's the 236 fib from these lows, and the 38.2 from here. So I'm going to say between 1185 and 1230, and see this previous low here. That's where really our support will be. Our next support will be in ADA. But I would get out and wait and see if we find support there. Let this correction come back. There's lots of other things, you know, that are nice and tradable and going up. So a close below 1300, and we're looking for between 1183 and 1200. And this previous swing low, you can see it more obviously on the 4 hour, somewhere around here. In fact, if we did that, we would make a very nice, again, corrections are normally 3 waves. The best ones are 2 equal swings lower, best correction. So if we did that here, look, we can say A, B, and that would be perfect, wouldn't it? So 1180 to 1230 in that zone, that's where I'd be looking for ADA next. And that's ADA Bitcoin. And to be quite honest, I don't think ADA dollar is going to, you know, because the Bitcoin really not doing anything, I don't think ADA Tether is going to be much difference. ADA, we're still looking at support and a bigger pullback. If we do this way, then our bigger pullback would be like this. And if we lose the support of these previous lows around 0.118, then we're looking for 0.107. 0.107 is this previous high here. So that's what I'm looking for in ADA if we lose the support of the last couple of days. So pullback in an uptrend, some back and fill. I expect to see a correction on the kind of scale of this one. And this one took about 2 weeks. And so, you know, look, we've got probably a few more days of this correction in ADA before it's ready to go up again. Next one we're going to look at is OMG. This is a lovely one. We were looking at this morning for a breakout. So this had a lovely big 5-wave up when we were waiting for our correction to be over and for us to turn higher again in OMG Bitcoin. And it looks like we made a small inverted head and shoulders pattern, at this 236 fib level when we bought back underneath it, and we were looking for a breakout to say to the upside to say that this had begun again. If we were I looked under the hood, and if you look at this, if this was our on our 4-hour, if this was our first swing lower, and then we went ABC, then we had a kind of equal measured move. It was a bit of a funky one, but I really do like this setup. So I think that there's a good chance that our new upswing is beginning in OMG. And if this was our wave 1 and we're beginning a wave 3, that should be the strongest and the most powerful of them. If it's not, then we'll just retest these highs at 23.63. But if we do a much more powerful swing higher from here, I'm looking for 28.78, 33.92, and so on. I've only got my fibs on this most recent swing lower here in OMG. If I take them away and instead we go to the weekly, we could put our big fib on this whole huge big swing here. And if we did that, then our first target would be the 236 fib all the way like that. Have to find the bottom here. And that's, gosh, a long way, 6,400. So that's why we've just got this most recent swing lower here that we're looking at for targets at the moment. And potential resistance, you know, from this previous spike low at 4,450. 4,450 for me, you know, is a bit of a magnet level I think that we're headed towards. So we'll go back to the fibs at the lows. So 4,450, big target, hopefully, but we'll climb these fib level staircases as we go. So OMG, I think, yeah, looks really good. Does look very good. So I haven't quite got that on the low. There we go. Next one we're going to look at is ENG. Summer markets, you know, are always really difficult for trends in other markets, and we're starting to see a bit of that in crypto. Now, this ENG is lovely. This was a lovely little. It looked like so we're off the lows. We got above our first. I'm not sure that this 236 fib level is that relevant, or I've got it right here. If I hadn't, I think maybe I should be looking at it from this most recent swing, because here we are faffing around in the middle, and when I do that, this actually looks much more relevant. I always look for the 236 fib to be the first touch. That's what we've got here. So here we were, we started an uptrend, we got to the 50%, came back 50%. We should be looking for a next big nice move here. The problem is we've got knocked back at this 61.8. So you know the rules. If we get knocked back at a 61.8, we're looking for support not to go back below this 50% if we're going to keep going higher. So that's our daily view. So here when we look down on the 4-hour or the hourly, we've pulled back to where our ideal support is. This is it. We should see Enigma hold the level here at 3,446 and then turn and head higher again, if this is a breakout and uptrend that we're looking for. This 50% should be, it doesn't look very good on the daily, but it should be a really good pivot level. We shouldn't close back below it. That's where our support is. So if you missed it and you're looking to buy, this is the level, 3,446. And if you didn't and you are holding on, I would say, yeah, it's probably a fair back breakout below that level. And we're looking to go higher from here. Let's see where our weekly moving averages are. Gosh, you see, that's the weekly. That's what's causing all the trouble. Anyway, it would be great to get above this weekly 50 moving average and get out of this trouble zone and beyond this kind of 50% level. And then I'm going to say 9357. There's a bit of a level here at these highs that I think could be troublesome to our rally. You know, this spike low here, and so maybe around 6,000, but otherwise I think 9357 is where we should head on the upside. There's another level here. You know, these support and resistance levels can sometimes trip you up, fibs aside. So I would say 6,000 and then 8,000, clearly a level, and then 9357 would be my first upside target for Enigma. So looking good today, but it's all going to depend. If we collapse all the way down again and back underneath this level, it will be a false breakout in 3446. Okay, next one is WAN chain. This little WAN and Wabi, you know, we were looked at WAN and Wabi for breakouts today, and they're quite thin little coins, so be careful. Like, don't, if you pile in huge size, you will be the market. They're quite thin and crispy. So again, very similar thing going on, except unlike ENG, we haven't come all the way back. So here in WAN chain, we were stuck at the 50%, high, broke out today, hit the 61.8. I expect a shallow pullback like this, and then I'm hoping we keep going. And so it's just like ENG, we're only wrong to be bullish WAN chain if we drop back underneath this 50% level at 27.44, and hopefully we don't come all the way back. But you can see at each one of these fib levels, the first time we've hit them, we have had a bit of trouble and pull back, and so we should expect a little bit here. So a nice move today, expecting a pullback, and then hopefully we carry on higher in this one. Worst case scenario, so if I always look at them, where might we go wrong? Okay, where might the ABC kind of bearish measured move stop us? Well, if we measure this swing from the low, we've gone beyond where that 61.8 is. But if we stop here at 3322, that would be, it doesn't line up with any fibs, so that would be potentially a bit of a sad thing, because that would be kind of corrective if we did that. So let me just see if it lines up. Yeah, it's okay. So yeah, I would keep an eye at 3332. We really kind of don't want to stop there. If we do and we reverse there and we came back under this, you know, that would just be an ABC correction and not a new up move. So 3322 resistance, and otherwise we're looking for 4,200 next on the upside in WAN chain. Ta-da! Wabi as well, tail looks quite nice too. So metal, this is an old school coin. So we're looking at metal because, yeah, we've been in this, we keep trying to break out of this. Whenever you see, so when you trade moving averages, you know, they work really well as dynamic support and resistance. You can buy pullbacks to them. You can sell rallies back to them when they're sloping. But when they bunch up like this, get all bunched up together after extended kind of quiet, low volatility, you usually get an explosive move when they break out. I've drawn it like this because we're going from this high. And we keep trying to break to the upside. We keep trying to have a look above this level, and then the sellers come in, unfortunately. So at this point now, if we're going to have a breakout that's going to hold, we want to see one which, it's not done it again. So let's go to a 50. Well, I really want to see if it's going to hold on here instead of just being a spike. Is you want to see it above and then find support, you know, and even maybe retest it or double bottom and then up and then above, then that's your long entry and we've properly broken out, or your confirmation that we've properly broken out. At the moment it doesn't look like we're holding this support, but you know, it's quite, we've got a few hours till the daily close. We could find buyers and get back up there above that level again. So I'm gonna say I'd really like to see a break higher in metal. At this point, hanging on long, I wouldn't like to see these lows go, because we might go all the way back to the bottom of the wedge again. So yeah, you know, the lows of the last couple of days, if they break, then potentially back to the bottom of the wedge. If we look at it, so we had a rally, so this is A, B, C, I think, D, we might do E all the way back here, and then that would be a break. If I've counted it wrong, then A, B, C, D, E, and we should be on our way. You see, that could be also an alternative, couldn't it? Either way. Okay, that's my puppy having a dream. Sorry. Okay, not a breakout yet. That's what we're looking for. Okay. Michael Mott says check SPSCE. Yeah, I will. I'll take a look. Octavian thinks we're going to get a move tonight, later tonight. I kind of have that. Yeah, Gunner's dreaming. Do you know, I kind of got that feeling about Bitcoin. I just, it's been so correlated with stocks, okay? And stocks keep going up. And Bitcoin just, instead of correcting, just keeps going sideways. It's really frustrating. Oh well, what can you do? All right, so we looked at metal. The next one that we're going to look at is basic attention token and then ALGO. Okay. What's not to like about... everybody likes basic attention token, don't they? Again, I'm going to look at it against Bitcoin, because if it's not really doing better than Bitcoin, there's not really that much point to be in it. When we had our lovely rally last year, big picture, this was the nasty drop, obviously, and then when we rallied, we couldn't get above this 236 fib level. So that doesn't mean that the downtrend continues, but it does mean that we're not in a new uptrend until we get above that level. And since then, this has just been really kind of waffly sideways with Bitcoin. Now, that's not that bad, because if Bitcoin is going up in value, then the value of your basic attention token is going up in value as well. And we could almost argue that this is a little bit of a, you know, we're making a little base here, like a pullback, inverted head and shoulders, or a continuation head and shoulders pattern before we start another leg higher. We could kind of argue, but we're not really doing very much. So I think for basic, you really kind of, to be inspired, you need to look at the dollar chart of this one, or dollar tether. If we look at dollar tether, and let's go to the weekly, then, you know, we're still, if we're honest, look at this, we're still stuck from the big drop underneath that big, you know, 236 fib level. That's really what we've got to recover if we're going to be going anywhere, and that's at 0.316. So it's not the most, especially when we look at how troublesome it's been. Normally, okay, you would get a bullish cross of your moving averages like this. You would pull back and find the support from them, as we did here, middle of June, and then you would expect to see something quite impulsive going on, and it's been really slow, you know, while other alts have been really going for it. This has just been very difficult, choppy, overlapping trading. So I'm going to say I leave this one aside. In fact, I would almost like to see a bigger ABC pullback maybe here. So here we've had one swing, B leg, and then retest this 200 moving average and give us something to launch off for another leg higher. So both against the dollar or Bitcoin, I really don't see a great setup that makes me want to buy basic attention token yet, unfortunately. And you know, it's like Bitcoin, when you're going in this sideways range, you'll have a big up day and you'll get all excited, and a big down day, but big picture, we really haven't gone anywhere in a big hurry, have we? So patience. Now above 0.316 on this dollar chart, or above that big 236 fib on both of those charts, I think we've got something exciting going on in basic attention token, but not yet is kind of how I'm feeling about it now. If I take a look at ALGO, here's the blue Zell that somebody was asking about earlier. What a lovely day in that one. Algorand, here we go. Now, this was really frustrating today. I thought on a pullback, I have my fibs on from this high to low, which to me looks really obvious. Last 5 waves down. And, the other levels, I swear they didn't work that well. The 236 worked here. The 38.2 worked. This 61.8 did. I can't see why we've crashed back underneath it, and it's a bit frustrating. And so maybe I'm thinking I've drawn it wrong, or it's got hit by news, or, 61.8 fib levels can be very messy. Now let's see if I put it on this way sometimes. No. Gonna do my extension like that. And okay, that makes a bit more sense. So I feel like what we've done here now, I've measured that. Okay. Now that's starting to look a lot better. So I feel like what we've done here is this is a big wave. This is a wave 1 and a wave 2. And this is a big impulsive wave 3. What makes me think that is that this swing was 2.618 of this first swing. And when you have a wave 3, it's very often at least 1.618, sometimes 2.618 or more of this first one. And so now, and that's what it looks like. This does actually look quite impulsive. And so now we would be expecting, if this wave 3s normally retrace 38.2, sometimes 50%. So now we can say that's what was probably going on here. So we would most likely retrace here to 3523 in Algorand, but maybe to this 50%. We don't want to go below this 50% really. You don't want to see that in a wave 4. So most likely we're going to come back to 3,523, potentially 3,274. Below there we're very bearish, and then we would expect another leg higher on the scale of this one or more, and back to retest these highs. Really, that would be my target. So that's what I'm looking for next in Algorand. Bitcoin, a pullback to 35.23, and then hopefully back to 5,100. So a little bit of a correction going on. I feel like it's a bit of a wave 4, and it might be funky, but that's what, because this was quite, well behaved, and then we'll see what happens there. If you're looking on an RSI with a wave 4, if it is going to be a wave 4, here's another useful trick. If you put an RSI on, a wave 4 would normally hold around the 50% level. It wouldn't go all the way down to the bottom. So, maybe we just peak underneath this 236 and do some here. But I feel like, yeah, we're probably going to see that bigger correction. So Algorand in a correction, look for 3,523 next, and to see if we can find support there to rally. ARC, here's a chart that's been looking interesting. How frustrating was this XTZ? I really thought Tezos was getting ready to break out, and it didn't. That's so... Anyway, you can't win them all, can you? Certainly we can't. So let's... here's ARC. Here was ARC. Sorry, having a moment. Okay. So when we looked at ARC this morning, this is another one where I feel like we've paused at the 50% up here. And normally when you pause at a 50% level, it makes me a little bit nervous, because if you lose this 38.2, you're going to come all the way back. If you come back too far, you're going to come back 50%. Mean reverting markets tend to mean revert. But when I do this here, when I measure this first swing, and we call this an, actually I think this was potentially an ABC, this is kind of looking like a wave 3 as well. And if that's the case, we shouldn't come back too far. We should come back something like a 38.2. So here we go. It's quite choppy though. Yeah, it's quite, I'm not convinced. It shouldn't really overlap like this. So we'll keep it simple. From this most recent kind of swing lower, we've stopped at this 50% level. I think it's valid because we had such a good reaction at this 236 fib level here. And so that means that we can lean on these fib levels. And therefore these previous highs and this 38.2 should be where our support is if we're going to stay in an uptrend. We shouldn't come back below 45.28. And I'm looking for us to keep going higher. 67.25 is the target. That's the first big 236 fib level. It's these previous lows. And that would make us a kind of messy 61.8 up there. So look for support at 4,500. If we lose that, then obviously we've reversed, and I think we keep going to 67.25 in ARC Bitcoin. But I can see a bit of a pullback here. Wouldn't be surprised at all if I put those fibs on. So obviously, if we just do a shallow overnight here, and then we push above this 5,500 level, 5,445, then happy days. We're going to keep going and accelerate towards target. I'm just suggesting that this might be a level where we might see a pullback before we carry on higher in Algorand, in ARC Bitcoin. My apologies. KNC, what a lovely. I'm just going to go back one because what was I going to say? There's a couple of charts here that aren't on the list that I think are really quite cool looking. For example, this DNT, these moving averages, these new highs, and this cluster. I really would like to see this break to the upside, retest 111, and above 111 I would get really bullish in DNT. I'm watching that one, and XZC here, this one. Look how we have got above this 200 moving average and are clustering and holding above this. This looks again like all set to see another leg higher, and this one 7867, if we measure this swing, would be the first upside target for this. If we can hold above this 200-day moving average and launch higher from here, that's looking quite nice as well in Zcoin. So there are still a few charts out there, you know, that haven't gone yet, that still look like they could do something. Anyway, I got a little bit off track there. I'm going to look at KNC next. So my apologies. Elrond is having a little bit of pullback. Elrond's got some dates later this month, haven't they? Kyber Network. Now, here on the daily, I'm going to zoom out here. So initially I took this most recent swing here like this, and I think I drew it right because we got a good reaction at the 236 fib, but it's possible that in fact I should be drawing this as 5 waves from here, and in which case we haven't quite tagged this 50% yet. And as long as we stay above, so I've got two kind of views, stay above this 38.2. Either way I look at it, this is a very nice uptrend. We're riding our daily moving averages. Every time we pull back, we had consolidation, broke out, and then every time we pull back to the 20 moving average, we found some support. So if I take this higher level, then potentially where we are today, the low should have been support. And if we look on the hourly, you know, this is kind of one of those levels through the middle here and this 200 moving average. So I'm going to say that potentially we've got a pretty good spot for a rally right here in Kyber Network Bitcoin. And if I was long, I'd be watching this level to see if we could rally from it. If I wasn't, and I'd be looking at this, then I'd be thinking, what if we do a big ABC correction here? Where is that going to bring me back to? And am I okay with that? Because if this high to this low is our first leg and this is our second leg, Look, there's our support a little bit lower. If we lose that, so if we lose 17,192, we're going to drop down to 14,800. So that's quite a long way. So let's say a close below 17,192. I would get out and wait for the bigger correction to play out. Bigger ABC and a bigger pullback, unfortunately. So there, that's our level. 17,192. Octavian says he doesn't really like any altcoin today. You know, if you don't like any of them and you're feeling like that, really, the best thing you can do is reduce all your positions and go and do something else. Have a drink, have a night off, watch a great movie, go to bed early, like switch off and come back with a clear head. I think much better way to do it. But you'll never do that if you've got too much risk out there. You've got to take a bit off and walk away, haven't you, to do that? So it's a great way to relax. So big picture, we're in, we're in a correction in an uptrend in Kyber Network. This is not a bearish reversal yet. And it's got to do a lot more to turn into one. Let's look at our weekly chart here as well. It's just a pause in an uptrend. If we look normally, we've spoken before about how when you have a big thrust candle, 50% of the candle can be support and resistance. If we look on the weekly here in Kyber Network at this big weekly up thrust candle here, 50% of this level was 14. I'm looking at, look, open close, not the tails. So it's the open close of the candle. 50% of that would be 14,866. If we look at where our ABC comes back to, 14,845, that's starting to make it look like a really kind of no-brainer level for Kyber Network to come back to. So if you're in of it and we lose 17, get out of the way and wait for 14,845, okay? No worries. I've wasted far more sleep in my trading career than I would like to own up to be honest. And I've always thought afterwards, you know what? It would have been much better just to switch off and have a really good rest. So, there's always going to be another set. You always think that you'll miss something, and there is always another setup and another entry. There always is. So, better to have the sleep, I think. Okay, so the next one we're going to look at is OGN. Especially so the way these altcoins are going, they'll all have a bit of a pullback, and then the whole bunch of other ones will set up. Origin protocol. Okay, I'll take my Heikin-Ashi candles off. Now, this is another one. Ugh. First off, let's look at this big swing here. We'll put our fibs on this. So we're in a really nice uptrend again in this one. But we look like we're making a lower high. And again, what we said about, 50% back, if we were going to stay in an uptrend, we really wouldn't want to come back more than 50% of this candle. And we have. Mindfulness 101. I could do that because I've probably made every mistake there is. It's so, especially like this is middle of the summer. This is the worst time of the year for any kind of trend trading at all. And very choppy conditions. Literally, how many charts do we look at where if it's up one day, it's down the next day, up the next day, down the next day? No trends at all. So unless you have a really kind of robust, low time frame trading strategy, that's really difficult. Like a lot of traders take time off in the summer for very good reason. It's not crypto. It's like this in FX, and it's like this in a lot of markets in the middle of summer. And sometimes it's good to take a couple of weeks off. It's been a very difficult year. So now in this, if we called this in Japanese candlesticks, then when you make a new high or a new low, and then you close down more than 50% of the previous day, that is a bearish reversal candle called cloud cover. If you do it at a low, so if you make a, we did it here, look, we made a new low, and then we closed more than 50% up with this red candle, that would be called a bullish piercing line. And they are these are as reliable as in reversal candlesticks as engulfing patterns or any other pattern. They're really effective. So I think we're gonna kind of if around a bit. If I put the 50% on here, I bet you it's this line here where we tried to find some support. It's just how those kind of midline levels tend to work. So potentially we could find some support here, but it's starting to feel like this is a big A and a big B, and now we're going to do a C leg. And if we close more than 50% down, I'm going to be looking for that next leg of correction lower, and that brings us, gosh, all the way back to these lows, 31.61. So not so much fun. If we put our fibs going the other way for some retraces, and we see what kind of pattern we're making, it could be that we end up making, if we go for the full at big ABC, it could end up we make a Gartley all the way down here, which would be pretty difficult, around 2,100, 2,200, 2,300 if we lose this support here. So let's see if we can hold here in the middle. I wouldn't want to let it come any further than today's low if you're hanging on in this one. And this swing low here. And if we can't rally from here, I would stop me out and wait for it to come back. If we measure where we are in terms of an ABC, you can see we're already there. So we really don't want to go any lower than we already have. We're going to be in a much bigger correction scenario than that, okay? So, how, you know, I use, for you guys who haven't traded very much, right, or who are new to trading, or who want to, like, recognize when the trend is going against you sometimes, these are called Heikin-Ashi candles. If you look down here at all the different candles, I use Heikin-Ashi candles. This is like a moving average on a candle. And it's a very good way, I particularly like it, for example, as a swing strategy on a 4-hour. It's a really good way to keep you in a move, because believe me, in this bit here, there would have been a million candlesticks that might have made you think, oh, this is reversing, it's not going any further. Like if I switch you on, you'd have looked at that candle, that bearish reversal candle, and you've probably got out. And so these Heikin-Ashi candles are very good to help you read the trend and stay in with it. But when they roll over, they tend to really roll over. And so, you know, they're quite a good thing to consider. You know, then you don't have to learn fibs or everything else or levels. It's a really good, gives you a really good indicator of where they are. It just keeps the noise away. And they're very good on low time frames too. You know, here, if you were just day trading on the 15-minute, you know, you pick your trend and good way to keep you in anyway, so you don't get until it's really over. So if we look at our day trend, I've in Origin, obviously we haven't reversed here yet, but we've got a little bit of a warning sign here, haven't we, on the 4-hour. So I would put my stop under this low. I wouldn't let it come any lower. Let's see if we can rally from here in OGN, because that's all we want to see. Okay, next one we're going to look at is AGI. I seem to be waffling a lot tonight. I don't mean to waffle a lot. Shall I tell you my favourite thing? In fact, I posted it on my Facebook page today. There is, whenever I have had a string of losers, or I felt like I haven't been, or I felt like I've done everything right, you know, but the market hasn't been going over very well, I'm just going to find the link for the video for you. Okay, Mark Douglas wrote a couple of really good books. They're a few years ago now, about trading psychology. They are honestly by far the best books you will read about trading psychology. And but he also has a really good video that I like to watch. It's here, and I'm just going to bring it over. And it's called Mark Douglas Mind Over Markets. And I used to, when I had a string of losers or things weren't quite going right, I would go and watch that video, and it would put my head in the right place. So I would take a break, take a day or two off trading, and I would watch that video, and it would put me back in kind of the right way of thinking again. You know, because winning trades are like buses, and you never know how many kind of losers you're going to have along before a whole bunch of winners come along. But you still need to keep your A game and in, you know, kind of good mental shape for when the winners do come, so you trade them properly. So that's my favorite thing to do if things aren't going right, or if I'm struggling a bit mentally. Okay, onward. Let's talk about AGI, which should be around here. AGI, Singularity. Here's a lovely breakout. Here's a lovely bottoming pattern. I've taken this last swing lower. I have no idea if these fibs are the right one, but they seem to have been working. The 236 fib worked here, the 38.2 worked here. And again, this is another one that has stopped at the 50%. So 250. So where is our support? Obviously, it's back at this huge support and resistance level all the way. If we look left, it's maybe a little bit lower, 223. So as long as we stay above 223, we're in a lovely uptrend after making a very nice, I don't know why that alarm's going off now. I hope you didn't have headphones on. A very nice bottom. Now, this bottom would project that we should go higher from here. We should go to at least 277. And if I zoom out, and we'll do, again, a weekly. Okay, so that's our first target, is these previous highs. Then we're going to do this whole swing. And this 236 fib level here at 250, and this low here, that should, 500. So these highs are going to be our first target here, and then 500. So this high, previous highs and lows are always the first like levels you should look at, because this is what changes the weekly trend at 360. Above 360, and we are not making lower highs, we're going to be making higher highs. So that's how we flick the trend. And then 500 is our next upside target. And then I would look at kind of all-time lows to highs. So very, very nice move today in AGI Singularity. Very nice move above the weekly 50 moving average. The rule about those 50 moving averages, if you get above them or beneath them, they become very strong support and resistance, and that is at 227 on the weekly. So 227 is our support, move it up. If you didn't get any of this one, then you're going to be looking for a pullback that doesn't go underneath 227. And here on the hourly, it looks like we're forming a nice little bullish flag pattern. So for me, I'm just going to wait for this CCI to reset, going back up again, and that'll be that. If you don't want to miss it and you're not looking at it, or you want to be sure it's going up again, then connect the highs like this and buy the breakout. So yeah, I love Singularity. Let's see 500 in that one. That would be great, wouldn't it, in AGI? GTO, nobody asked for this one. I shoved it in because I think the chart is so pretty. It's Gifto. It's a funny little one. Isn't that a nice looking bottom and a nice move above this 200 moving average as well? Clearly we've got this a whole bunch of horizontal resistance around here, and the main one is round number 100. So above round number 100 in Gifto, I think we're headed to the 236. We're headed first of all to this high here, which is at 133, and then 173 next in this. So nice consolidation, a breakout above 100, which we could easily do. We got very close to there today. Would be a very nice long setup for Gifto. I was just going to mention this Syscoin. Yeah, Syscoin. So I'm watching Gifter above 100. So Syscoin. So I took the most recent swing lower, which is this high to this low. I'm leaning on it because of this reaction here in the middle at the 236 fib. So I think it's working like that. And this is the daily chart now. Now the rules say if you reverse at a 786 fib, if you drop back underneath the 61.8, you're going to come all the way back to the 38.2, which is here at 8:30. And potentially we could come back to the 38.2, sorry, the 236 fib if that doesn't hold. So if you haven't already got out, the fact that we're underneath this 1218 already says we've got further to fall, unfortunately. And underneath this 61.8 now makes it resistance. So if you're looking at this on the hourly now, what a shame this has come back. So that then would be resistance. So Paulo says I missed the LTO. How did I do that? I left it off as well. No, I'm not. No. I'm doing Sys, and then I'm doing Troy, and then I'm doing LTO. If you refresh your page, I've got LTO on here. Okay. The Daleks need to refresh the page. That's the problem. My fault, Daleks. Refresh the page. Okay, so Syscoin. Nasty reversal at a 786 fib means back to the 38.2, unfortunately. Troy is next. There's an awful lot of coins now that we're thinking about them. An awful lot of them have got to like 50% or quite tough resistance tonight, haven't they? And here, unfortunately, I have to say Troy is not much difference. I used this first swing here, this most recent swing lower, to project for targets, and it worked okay. This 1.618 and now this 2.618. I'm not sure how. Let's put some fibs on all-time lows to highs as well, because if we keep going, we really should go to this 236 fib level. It's just one of those levels, and that's here at 65. So clearly we've got resistance at 54, and a break above 54 should see 65, and then 91 is the big target I'm looking for here in Troy. Look how, again, bunched up moving averages, nice breakout. So for now, this is not a reversal here, and this isn't even Heikin-Ashi candles. This is just, we're paused at this level, but not a nasty, again, not a nasty rollover, just sideways consolidation, a bit of back and fill, and then we'll either break down or we'll continue higher. At the moment, we've got a double top, so that's the level that we need to get above at 57, and then we've got a bit of a support line in here. Yeah, consolidation, and then let's see us break to the upside next. Brandon, thank you very much. Well, you can if you come to my group, you can have them twice a day and ask me anything. We do find some quite nice setups sometimes. So that's Troy. Give it a bit of time, I think. That's all this needs. We're a little bit stretched from these moving averages, and they need to catch up a bit. And then no reason this doesn't stay above the 200 moving average and keep going higher in Troy. So pause for now in that one. Now here's LTO, the one everyone wants to talk about. So I've got LTO here. I've got my Binance chart. Let's hide this for a second. So in this chart at Binance, if you want me to do a different exchange, I will. I put my fibs on from this high to this low. We had a nice rally to the 236 fib and a pullback, a nice rally to the 38.2 and a pullback to the daily 20 moving average, and now we're on our way up again. So far, so good. So we can see, again, that these fibs are working for us very nicely. And support and resistance, it's going to be a bit like a staircase. So if we want to get to the next level, clearly 816 and this 38.2 level is what we've got to get above. And then our target will, of course, become this 50% and this previous high at 957. And then we kind of get into the risk of this could be a bigger pullback here. We could be making a big bottom, head and short, or we could, you know, when you reverse at a 50%, if you lose this 38.2, you will come back 50% the other way, which puts us down here. So you need to be a little bit careful, but I think it looks great. We haven't managed to close over the line today, but you know, let's watch this pullback, and if we turn up and get back above it again, that would be a good way to jump in, wouldn't it? So, in fact, yeah, this is not a bad place for us to find support either, if we look at this. So, I like LTO. I think it's all set to go higher. I see no reason at all why we wouldn't get to 957. But if we do get a swing failure pattern here, and a swing failure pattern is when you make a new high, but you can't close at a new high. And so at the moment, this is looking like a little bit of a swing failure pattern. Then you do need to tend to come back and find some good support before you try again. So if we did that here on the hourly, you know, we might need to come back a little bit lower. Maybe these previous lows here, there's a bit of a... get some pretty good support to launch from. But no reason to give up on the bigger uptrend at the moment yet in LTO. So what's next? Ren. Here we go. Oh, here we go, Ren. I'm trying to mention the chart. So, okay. So I'm a big fan of extensions. So sometimes, you know, I used to trade penny stocks, okay? And when you traded penny stocks, they would just take off and they would go to prices nobody had ever been before. Unlike, you know, well, it's a bit like stock index, isn't it? But in FX, that's you've always been there before, right? But in the 1.618 extension or 2.618 extension would be always a really good target level. So the way you draw it is like this. Imagine, okay, so imagine I put my fibs on this high to low here, like this, and we're watching the rally. And so ignore this bit here, we'll push it off the chart. This is a monthly chart of this one. Let's go to the weekly. Okay. Like this. So I would put my fib retrace level on this high to the low, and I'd say, right, if we can get above this 236 fib level here, then we're on our way up again. And if I put the daily on here, you can see that in fact we when we did that, we stopped very nicely at this 236 fib, up we went to the 38.2, bigger pullback, we got a higher low here. And then this thing with the 1.618 1272, that's what I look for when we make new highs. So here, from this high to low, 1.618 is where we stopped. And that works on a lot of levels. So I would do this here, 1272, 1.618. Here we didn't make a new high, we made a new low. But this first one, I would always use that 1.618 as a target level, and it really does work very well. So we're at a 1.618 extension from this high to low. I bet also if we measured from here, because this is a lower low, so this is our wave 1, wave 2, wave 3. So remember, yeah, we can take that off now. Wave 3s are very often 1.618 the length of wave 1. And so if that's the case here, then we've got wave 1, wave 2, I hope, and wave 3. And so we can expect our wave 4 to come back. Ideally 38.2, but sometimes 50% of the rally. Not sure where it was from, is it? I think it's from here, but I would need to spend some time on this, but something like this. So here's the 236 fib level, and then our 38.2 would be here. So our ideal support in this pullback is down here around 1470 in Ren, and then new leg high. And we shouldn't go, we're dead wrong if we go underneath this level here, aren't we? So that's what I'm looking for. Now, if we make an ABC correction here, it looks like we might have already done it, but this reaction today says, no, we're not finished. This is a bigger one going on here. And so if we do that here, so this is our first swing like this, okay, and we measure this from this high here, that puts us a little bit lower, not new lows, you know. So somewhere around here, clearly, we're doing some back and fill. We're going to either hold 1731, otherwise I'm going to look for 1470, and that would be the daily 50 moving average. It would be these previous low here as well. So there's lots to like these two levels. One of these two levels is going to hold. Not sure which. We need to watch and see what happens. And be a little bit patient. Let it make a base as well in Ren Bitcoin. And then hopefully one more leg higher. And if we go one more leg higher, well, let's go back. And again, take these off. And we'll put our extensions on. 1.618. Then I would be looking for the 2.618 here next. 3067. Pull back and then 3067, hopefully. Next. So Ren Bitcoin, yeah, in a bit of a correction, not quite finished yet. OST is next. Quite a lot of them are looking at that. OST. God, I was just about to say another lovely breakout, but this is another of those 50% levels today. Okay, so lovely move above the 200 moving average. This 38.2 fib level in OST, which I've drawn from the highs here in December 2019. That was resistance. Look how it is if we look left. Support and resistance, quite a big level here around 113. We got above it today and then immediately banged our head on the 50% level. This is now quite important because if you reverse at a 50% level, mean reverting markets tend to keep mean reverting by, in other words, coming back 50%. So if we lose this 113 support level, we will drop 50% from here, which means back down towards here around 95, 96. So now key support. I don't think we will. I mean, it looks pretty good here, doesn't it? So what we'd like to see is a nice shallow pullback, nice correction, and then a break above 129 sees our next leg higher. And next leg higher puts us to the 61.8, which lines up with the 236 fib that we're looking at. So we've got lovely confluence for our next upside target here, haven't we, at 144. So shallow pullback and above 129, looking for 144 next and higher, to be honest. No reason not to above this 200 moving average. Kicking Mustang says, excited to see XHV mainnet go well today. Yeah, that's probably one of my bigger positions. So we'll take a look at that in a minute, I think. Am I on it? Where am I? OST. In fact, yeah, XHV is next. Yeah. We do look at those markets as well, and it's a strategy that works. Yeah, we look at the FX. I'd like to do more, actually. I seem to have a lot of crypto people. So keep an eye on this little phantom chart here. See this 236 fib level? If we can hold above it, and look at what support and resistance this was. If we can close above it, what's that price in phantom? That might have legs. 162. Back underneath 162 won't be so pretty. But if we can hold above 162, we should be looking for 238 next in phantom. Okay, I'm scared to look at my Haven chart. Ta-da! Oh! Okay. Oh, this is a relief. So when I do this Haven chart, all right, I marked all these levels for target levels. So this was the first target levels, and by projecting from each of these little swings. So 29,900 and then 47,000 is the next if we can break up above it. But here I was just looking for a kind of a nice ABC correction, and again, I put my fib. See this red fib? This is the 236 fib. It really should hold on a back test. We shouldn't close underneath it. And so that's why I've got marked all this support here, because we've got well underneath it today, and I was thinking, oh, this isn't going to go well. Good technical support. Anyway, great reaction to the mainnet launch. That's great. This is now a nice bullish hammer. If we go to a 4-hour, we should be seeing some nice green Heikin-Ashi ready to go up again. And so I'm thrilled that we've held support, technical support, and hopefully this big ABC correction is over in Haven. So what's going to tell me that Haven is going up again? When I look at all of these here, and if I hide all these moving averages, the way I do it is I put my fib level on from this high to this low, and above the 236 usually says we're on our way higher. 50% sometimes is a sticky level. So if we put these back on, so we're going to do from this high to this low, and we're back above the 236 fib going up. So that's it. Phew. That's what you say when you probably had too much risk on. I probably should have taken a bit more off for the mainnet launch. So I'm very pleased it went well. Yay. Yeah, there we go. So Haven, I'm expecting Haven to find a bottom here, retest the highs at 28,800, and the next upside is around 47,000 in this funny little coin. So there we go. It's a very cool idea. Do your own research. It's a very cool idea. Okay, so comp next. Okay. In fact, there's a few out there. There's some funny little charts that aren't on many exchanges. You know, some of these little exchange ones, Bittrex and Huobi coins, they've been doing like massive, you know, if you just want some fun money and you don't risk too much so that it's not the end of the world if you lose it all, you know, there is some really fun stuff out there on some of those exchanges. You just, you know, you have to be careful with your risk. Okay, comp. So this is quite a new coin on Binance. Let me see if there's something with more history. Maybe I'm looking at the wrong comp Bitcoin. No, still quite a new coin then. So again, when we're looking for projections going up for where we might find support, we can do the same thing in a downtrend. When we do that, we put the fib on from the high to the low, and I use extensions. So first off, 1272, 1.618, and so on. And you can see here, this 1272 worked very nicely for a big bounce. Yeah, 1272 worked very nicely for a big bounce, and it's starting to look a little bit worrying now that we're underneath it, because potentially, unless we recover this level, and it's been a bit of a wash here, if we can't get back above it now, I think that there is a danger that we continue lower to this 1.618 projection level. If I put it on this swing, let's see if that lines up. It doesn't in this case. Sometimes maybe if I take that away. Is that what the market is looking at now? Not yet. So I'm going to leave that there. So yeah, this is not done quite enough to make me believe we've made a bottom. One of the good things we can say at the moment though is we're not going down. We're in a sideways range. We're going, this is our lows, we've got a double bottom. Here's our highs, we've got a double top. So we need to break out of this sideways range to tell us which way we're going to go next. One of the simple trading rules about when you make these sideways ranges is when you break out of the box or the rectangle, you will go twice this distance usually. Double bottom, double top. So if we broke this to the upside like this, our first target would be twice this distance. So, you know, you've got quite good risk reward. And the same thing, unfortunately, would be if we broke it lower. So we need to be a bit careful. And so No trend, dead flat moving averages. This is a 4-hour no trend at the moment until we break out. Luckily we haven't broken the lows. If you were going to nibble a little bit, this is about as close you can get to where you're wrong, isn't it? So you buy close to the lows and you wait and see if we break out on the upside. But this is not an uptrend. You would nibble away at it, wouldn't you? And then if you got above this pivot level in the middle here, I maybe nibble a little bit more. And then if we break out from the top side, you might want to buy a little bit more. You certainly don't want to go all in down here. Unless, well, obviously it's quite close to where you're dead wrong, but there is no guarantee that we go up here. So yeah, pretty neutral, I'm afraid, in comp at the moment. This is quite, I keep watching this one to see if we're going to make a new high today in Coty. I was looking this against the dollar. That one looks a little bit better for one of the newer coins. Now BNT is requested. Haven't looked at Bancor for a while. BNT, let's start with a weekly chart and look at where we are with this one. Okay, and this is another one of those altcoins, had quite a nasty move. But certainly not, you know, most of them look like they're hovering around the lows, and this one's well off the lows. And impressively, this normally, when you have a spike low like this, the first time you come back to them, they're very often a lot of trouble. If we look at this on the daily, it did give us trouble for a week, but then we've recovered it, you know, pretty nicely. It gave us trouble for 3 nasty days, and here we are above it. So should be a little bit of support and resistance here as well, I think. I'm going to take that away now. So this most recent swing lower here, and I fiddled around with this, looked at different highs. But if I take this high here, which is the cleanest one, and it's from the 7th of March 2019, then I get the best reaction around these levels. So the 236, the 38.2, 50%, 61.8, and so on. And here we are, we've stopped with a double top at the 886 fib level, 18633. So we can say very simply now, if you know, fibs like a staircase, if we break this low here, 16644, that's the puppy dreaming. If we break 16644, we've got a bearish reversal, and our target would then be back to this 50% level. So if you get a daily close below 16644, you should really, I would say, get out of the way and look to buy it back around 10,950. That's what I'd be looking for. If we can hold this support level and we just carry on sideways, then our uptrend still looks good, and I would say it should carry on. No worries in that one. So Bancor, let's go back again. Yeah. Now, if we carry on higher, I'm going to take this interim fibs away. I've got a big fib level here at 26,747, and these highs, that's where I'd be looking for next, but I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, that's all-time highs to lows in Bancor. So just a little pause. At the moment, this is the first red weekly candle. This coin has gone up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 green weeks in a row. That like almost never happens in crypto. So this one is due a little bit of a pullback, and we're a long way from these weekly moving averages. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a move like that. 10 weeks rallying in a row is, well, it's quite something. Okay, I think I really like this little mithril. We've been trading this in our group. Inverted head and shoulders pattern, break above the 200 moving average, and a really nice pullback back tested support. Mithril has got a date now up here with this previous high at this 2.618 level at 123. So I think you can look to buy pullbacks in mithril as long as it doesn't go below 90, and it should continue to 123 as well. So now I'm going to do the ones you look for. COS and Blizzell first off. So well, let's look for COS. I think I had it. Look at that shrieking noise as a deer there. Okay. James is like, they can't hear. Okay, contentos. Yeah, I'd love this to turn into a big head and shoulders bottom. And if we look, you know, what the best head and shoulders patterns have pretty balanced, kind of symmetrical shoulders. So that means if we measure this shoulder here for how big it is, then the shoulder on the right side should be about the same. Okay, so we start that about here. So that puts us, you know, getting up to the neckline around the 3rd of August. And where are we now? 20th of July. So that's 2 weeks. That's okay. We can take our time getting up here. So 132 then is our level, target level break when we break from this sideways consolidation, hopefully. So here on the 4-hour, you can see it very nicely. There's lots to like about this. We're kind of holding above these previous highs, aren't we? And so, yeah, a little wedge, and I'm looking for this to hopefully break higher before lower. Contentos. And I'm looking for 132. I don't mind if it gets there sooner and it's a bit whatever. But yeah, that would be a very good look. It's a 4-hour buy now if we break out, in fact, above 110, isn't it? So contentos looking for 132 and then higher. 180. The next one we're going to look at is little blue zal. There it is. I forgot. So this is another one that made a very nice little bottoming pattern, bunched up, and reverses as a weekly chart. It paused briefly at this 236 fib level, mainly to back test it, which is what we did here. So it's a pretty good support and resistance level, 580. And now here, we've done the same again. We've gone, and sometimes coins just do that. They go beyond the fib levels and then they become support. So above 851 then becomes support in blue zal to carry on higher, and I don't mind us going above it. So that's what I'm looking for. If we don't though, if we close underneath 851, we might just kind of consolidate underneath it before we go up again. So that's the kind of level I'm watching for tonight. We're just kind of faffing around it at the moment, aren't we? In fact, no, I think we're holding above it, which looks quite nice. It's a good look. Come on, you can see it was resistance here. Now let's see it be support. So if we hold 851, we're looking for 1069 and then 1288. Next, on the upside, this is just a 15-minute chart here in blue zal. Really nice breakout move today. Let's go back to the weekly and find some bigger targets. Because again, I've got my fibs just on this little most recent swing lower, but if we put it on big all-time highs to lows, well, it's not even that, it's just this swing here. I think maybe I should do the whole thing. I'm not sure I'm doing it right. Yay. Where's that 50% level? If we do that there, we're short of it, aren't we? Yeah, a little bit tricky. I would like to move it up to there and say, yeah, 21.25, but you shouldn't ignore these support and resistance levels, so we should put them in. These highs and lows are where we are paused at now, and then potentially these highs at 2000. So no, looks very good, but expect a little pullback in blue zal. I love it. It's done quite a big move today, needs to calm down a bit. Look, and markets tend to do that. They'll have a big move and then they'll consolidate for a few days, and that's when you stalk your entry. You watch the consolidation, watch for a breakout going your way and not the other way, and that's your get in, you know, if you like. So Link, let's talk about Link. I'm going to zoom all the way out because I'm not 100% sure of these target levels. Yes, is that, there's that. If I was going to do wave one, okay, just going to be that. Looks a bit better. Can't get it on the low, hold on. And then we'll do the same here for this. Okay, now we're starting to change the color. I know I'm crazy, but okay. So they're all lined up here for this level, and then so this should be pretty good support. It looks like we've kind of gone beyond them. 79,500, and let's take that one away now, and we'll look for these bigger ones, because the ones yeah, I think 79,500 using kind of fib projections should be support, that we've gone so far beyond it. And I really like how this 1.618 level worked. I'm going to take that away, so that if we continue higher from here and we hold this level, then upside, I think 184,000. So it looks pretty dire. It looks like we've had a really kind of scary pullback today, as you do. But this, again, this level here should be where our support is. If we look at our trend, you know, on a 4-hourly or whatever, we really don't want to drop under these lows, do we? Because that's kind of our trend reverse then. And so, yeah, potentially ideal support here. Any lower, and I would say time to get out of Link and look for a bigger correction. If we measure the swings, have we made something like an, you know, sort of ABC? Yeah, around here we have maybe a little bit lower. There is a room for us to go a little bit lower down to these lows. So I'd probably call it a zone here and say, you know, 74,600 maybe. Below there I would be out for sure. So looking for us to make a bottom and turn higher again and Link, if we're going to keep trending higher and not turn this into a bigger correction than it needs to be. As in like a big correction like this. What we're looking for, in other words, is a shallow correction like this or this, and then we carry on higher, and rather than a big correction like this. So if we drop below there, then we're looking at the bigger kind, okay, clearly. So Link, Bitcoin, potentially around support or here or just a little bit lower. If we look at Link Tether, it's a little bit easier to read, I think, and we can see that we're well and truly above. I've been projecting our fib levels like this, and if I put my daily on, you can see that we stopped very nicely at the levels that we projected here for the 1272. We stopped perfectly at the 1.618. So now we're looking on the upside for the 2.618. You can see they work very well, and so we shouldn't come back below this level, which is 6.61, and we're looking for 9.79. So 6.57, sorry, and 9.79 on the upside. And at the moment, we're kind of in between those levels. So we're looking to find our feet and find support. How does that look then on this 4 hour? Again, I'm going to say, you know, this is our trend support here, really. We reversed it, don't we, if we head under here. And so for me, this is ideally where we don't really, we can have a peak underneath it, but I wouldn't want to close under that low. And so still in an uptrend, unless we lose 6.88, I think. So I think when I measured it, yeah, that's quite interesting. So if we think in link tether that this was our first leg higher, I've got it on log scale. Looks a bit more like it now. So if this is our wave 1 and we had a big funky wave 2 and this is our wave 3, remember wave 3s are very often 1.618 of wave 1, so that's what we've got here. And so then we can say, well, a wave 3 very common retrace level is a 38.2. so if we put that on here like this and we look at where is our 38.2 fib retrace, it's actually a little bit lower at these lows. So let's say we wouldn't be too surprised if I've got it wrong, and actually we can do it a bit differently. We can say that if we lose this 7.12 level, then quite likely we come back to these lows and 6.02. So make sure that we hold support around here. Otherwise 6.0247. Pretty good so far off it, but you know, that actually makes more sense now. So make sure we lose this 7.12 in link tether. I think I've got everything. IVGO and SPCE. Let me see. IVGO. I looked at Haven, didn't I? So we've done Haven and then, okay, IVGO. Okay, let me see if I can find this on. I'm not sure what IVGO is, Michael Marks. Sorry. Can't seem to find it on anything. LVGO. Okay, my mistake. There it is, Livongo Health. Gotcha. Okay, so we're looking at a stock. Hooray. A NASDAQ stock. Love doing that. Now, we're going to put our fib projections on from this first all-time, from initial issue, low, high. Okay, and we're going to go back to the weekly and see how we did. We did pretty good at this 1.618. 2.618 is now support. 3.618 isn't a fib, so I'm going to say that this one has actually got more upside, because we shouldn't really, you can pause at a 3.618, but it won't end there. In fact, this 4.236 is where we're looking for next, and that's at 143.64. So as long as we stay above 94.55, I'm looking for 143.64 in terms of fib projections next. And I think it looks great. I'm going to quickly do the wave 1, 2, is that it? No, there it is. Wave 1, 2, 3. God, this one's flying. Okay. Yeah, that's my next upside target. 143.64 and then 223. I think that this 143 level is one of those where we might see a bit more of an extended correction. So we've got further to go because we're only at 113 and we're breaking higher. So LVGO 143.64, and then SPCE. Let me save that one. SPCE, Virgin Galactic Holdings. Here we go. Let's do a monthly chart. God, we're not even allowed to the gym. Are people really going to the galaxy? Here we go. Right. Okay, so I have, from this low to this high, I've put my fib levels on because where we reverse tells me where we're probably going to go. And so when you reverse at an 886 fib, you have two places you're going to go. Okay, so if you get above the 786 fib, which we did here, then your first target is the 50%. And then if you go beyond that, your second target is the 236 fib level. So for me, we've hit at 2470 on this weekly, we've hit our upside target here, and potentially we could see a bigger reversal here. Let's go down to down one to a daily. I just want to see how this unfolded. So if this is ABC up and ABC down, let's see if these legs are equal, because if they are, then not quite. Okay. Anyway, clearly we're in a nice uptrend. For me, in terms of my fib rules, I think that this 2470 could be a tough level. And so I would watch very carefully that we don't reverse too far here in this one. Okay. Now, for me, reverse too far, as you know, I wouldn't let it come back. The 236 fib is always in my back pocket. So I'd say, let's say today's low, you know, we really short-term reversal anyway, wouldn't it? These lows here will be falling into the gap if we do. So we don't want to fall into the gap because we'll have to come down here to fill the gap. And then potentially we could continue. So I'd say 22.31 short would be my short-term level that I would be looking for holding, or 22, around 22.30. If we did lose 22.30, then it's going to fill the gap and come to 21.07. Below 21.07, I wouldn't want to be long of this anymore, SPCE. I just think this is a really, 24.78 is quite a tough level to get through. First time without a bigger pullback. So I'm always happy to look at stocks if there's any. Why do gaps tend to fill? Okay. They tend to fill just because everybody does them as a gap trade. The thing about gaps is that if they, for my money, if they don't fill pretty quickly, and by pretty quickly I mean 3 or 4 days, then they become really strong support and resistance. So after a couple of days, this becomes a support level and it won't fill. Why does it fill? Well, imagine if you were a company and you took a view and you shorted this stock here and we gapped here higher above it. Well, you don't really want to take a loss. What you might do is you might sell more to bring it back down to your price and then exit. Now, do I think that's stupid? Would you risk more? They do. They do. They'll move the market around to try and get them filled. So, yeah, I can see them doing that. And that's why that happens with a lot of positions. So I think that most of the time they fill, though, just because people trade the gaps as gap fill trades rather than participants who already have a position. In low volume stuff, you can do that, and you can do that sometimes in the futures too, in one's markets that you can throw it around. So, And that's why what you'll see is it'll just literally come back to the gap fill price, and then it won't go any further. It'll go up again. Why? Because they're probably taking profit there. You know, they've got it back to where they need it to be. Or imagine that if you were holding a position, okay, and you were short, and it didn't work and it gapped above it. Well, when it got back there, by then you know the stress of it gapping over the weekend over your position or overnight, you'd be like so relieved you would probably sell it anyway and say forget that. So that's how they tend to stop. Have we looked at Go? I can't remember. Did I look at Go? I truly can't remember. If I look at the chart, maybe I will. No, we didn't. VeChain. VeChain is another nice looking chart, really, because I feel like this made a pretty good bottom here, and it's not really a neckline because it wasn't a very balanced head and shoulders, but it was a valid head and shoulders and it hit its target. And now we've come back and we've retested the neckline. Happy days. And so here we are at these daily moving averages. I think we're going to go going up again. I know it's a flat moving average, but back above this 200 moving average would be a pretty nice long entry. We've really held support here pretty well. Yeah, we've really held 125 support very nicely. This daily 50, you know, we really haven't gone underneath it. So yeah, I'd like to see us break this consolidation to the upside, and then that would be a pretty nice buy signal above that and above the 200 moving average. So we've got our sideways range. So it looks well supported. It looks lined up, ready to go. Octavian says, so it's like a custom that traders do. Okay. In Octavian, if you trade crypto, you know how sometimes in these little shit coins, these little altcoins, the volume is really low. So for example, if you want to buy a little bit, if you want to buy a chunky amount of something, like there are some shit coins, you know, if you want to buy 1 Bitcoin's worth, you are the market and you will move it a long way. Okay, well, it works the same way in stocks. Some of these stocks are very low volume. And so what happens is, if you want to buy a lot, you know, you're going to move the market. So there's a variety of ways that hedge funds use in that position to get filled. So what they will try and do is they'll try and buy, let's look at Haven, because Haven's a really good example of that. What they will do is they will wait till there's a break of a level. So they will engineer the break of a level like we saw today. And then suddenly when we've lost the support, everybody wants to sell. And so if you're a hedge fund that wants to buy a lot of a stock, then you can scoop a lot up without everybody noticing and without being you're the market. And the same here when you want to get out. So sometimes, right, imagine that you're sitting in Haven and we're up here and you know this is resistance and we might not break it again. We're looking at this double top and we're all sitting here going very quietly. Well, if you were a hedge fund and you wanted to sell quite a lot and you didn't want to crash the market so you couldn't get out at a good price, what you might do instead of selling is you might buy a little more first. Buy it so it looks like it's going up and everybody jumps in to buy some more, and then you sell them all they want. And so hedge funds will do that at big levels. So and that's why, and we see this in Bitcoin as well. Before we see a bigger move lower, we'll see a little move higher that gets everybody going, oh, this is it, we're going up, we're going up. And so it creates that liquidity so that if you wanted to sell a lot, you can do it without being noticed, and vice versa. So that's how it tends to work in thin markets. you know, if you're trading euro dollar, you can have all you want, you know. But in thin markets, sometimes you need to buy some to make it look like, especially if it's all gone very quiet and nobody's doing anything. Sometimes you need to make everybody think it's going up, and then you can sell a lot. Okay, so that's it. See you all next week. Listen, it's summer. If you want to take a night off, you are not going to miss a load of stuff. Just make sure you have stops in, or you reduce your risk so you can sleep well. And let's see if Bitcoin, if we can get out of this range soon. Bye, everyone.